Hello and welcome. My name is Mike, and I'm a finance analyst here in the local finance bureau for the California Department of Aging. You are viewing this video today because you have a role in the closeout process for the program that you partner with CDA on, and the closeout report for your program is coming due. Closeouts for most of CDA's programs are typically due 30 days from the end of the program's funding term. Your closeout report for your program will be completed through our local finance reporting system, also known as LoFRS. I'm here to guide you through the simple process of filling out your closeout form in LoFRS. This demonstration will take approximately 15 minutes. Before we get into the demonstration, I would like to note that our review of the LoFRS closeout form today will be a basic overview of how to fill out the form, and we will use our CalFresh expansion program form in this demonstration as an example. But as you know, there are many differences between our many different programs, each with their own guidelines and cost categories. But the purpose of our closeout form review today is simply to familiarize you with the process of completing the form. The form for each of the programs, however, will have a similar look and feel. Should you have any questions regarding your specific program as it relates to the LoFRS closeout form, please direct those questions to the LFB Finance Analyst or LFB Finance Manager for that program. Let's get right into the review of the closeout form. First, you will log into LoFRS as you normally would when you post your monthly expenditure report. If you need assistance or would like general instructions for logging into or submitting monthly expenditure reports, please contact us at our department email, finance@aging.ca.gov, and someone from the LFB team will be happy to assist you. Once logged in, you will be brought to the familiar main menu page displaying the contracts and agreements for the agency or agencies you have permissions to view. On the menu on the right, choose Closeout Forms. This brings you to the screen displayed and lists any CDA contracts and/or agreements you manage that are assigned for closeout. You will see the contract or agreement number as a hyperlink, as well as the form status. Before we review the closeout form, I would like to take a moment to review what each of the 4 form status stages mean. Understanding the form status stages will help you understand the process flow of the closeout form. There are 4 form status stages: pending input, pending approval, pending manager approval, and pending signee signature. First, pending input. This is when the closeout has been assigned to your agency and is ready for data input and submission, or the closeout has been returned by CDA and needs corrections to the previously submitted data. Once you have completed and submitted the form, the next status stage is pending approval. At this stage, the form is reviewed by your finance analyst, and once approved and submitted, the form's status is changed to pending manager approval. The pending manager approval stage is when your closeout file is in the local finance branch manager's queue for review. Upon management's approval and submission of the form, it is then moved into the final stage, pending signee signature. Pending signee signature is a stage when the agency director is responsible for signing the form by providing approval in LoFRS, thereby completing the closeout process. Please note, whenever any one of these stages has been processed, an email notification is sent to each individual within your organization who has a LoFRS profile, alerting them of the transaction. This gives everyone visibility into the status changes of the file as they happen. Let's move on to the closeout form. Click on the contract or agreement number hyperlink of the program you are intending to work on. This brings you to the summary page of your closeout form. Shown here is the main menu page of the closeout form, or the summary page. Again, this is an example closeout form of one of CDA's programs that we are using only for demonstration purposes. Your closeout form could look slightly different based on your contract requirements. In the middle section of the screen, you will see the funding categories, such as personal salaries, travel, and other costs. In this example, the closeout form is tracking administrative and programmatic costs for each funding category. On the left is a menu providing cost categories where itemized entries will be made. Personnel salaries, property equipment, travel, other costs, and sub-recipient contractor costs, for example, will need to be itemized. On the upper right is a menu providing additional functions. The Excel icon, once selected, will produce your entered closeout information in Excel format. The paperclip icon is where you attach required documentation for your closeout, if needed. For example, equipment inventory certification forms and other applicable documents would be uploaded here if required. View History is a button that allows you to see the history of the closeout for each of the status states and gives you the information on who worked the file, when it was saved, and any comments that were made. The Submit button is utilized by both your organization and CDA throughout the 4 status stages when the file has been reviewed and approved. Next, let us review how your closeout information will be entered. And please keep in mind that as we review how to input your data into the form, your information is saved to the form in LoFRS upon entry. If you were to accidentally close out of the window after entries were made, your information will still be there when you return to the form. First, some information will be entered directly into the summary page. For example, fringe benefits, operating expenses, and indirect costs. Here are some example entries. You will see that each cost category is totaled horizontally, and each funding category is summed up vertically. As you are filling out your closeout form, please be aware of your program's contract limits for certain categories. For example, some programs are limited to 10% of their allocation being used towards administrative costs. Please refer to the contract or agreement for specifics for an individual program. Also, please note, The form requires you to separate your personnel wage costs from your fringe benefit costs. Fringe benefits, as you can see, are entered in sum directly into the summary page. Wages for your personnel will be entered into the personnel salaries menu item, of which we will look at next. Now bring your attention to the menu on the upper left side of the form. This menu provides cost categories where itemized input for your program will be required, including but not limited to personnel salaries, property equipment, travel, other costs, and sub-recipient contractor. I will take you through each one of these cost categories. First, personnel salaries. Clicking on the personnel salaries menu item takes you to your personnel page. Here, you will click on Add Personnel and proceed to complete the information required for each of the staff members of your program. I will provide an example input. For job title, I will put Program Coordinator. Next, we enter this position's full-time annual wage equivalent for the term period. We will need to include overtime if applicable. An example of an entry in this field that includes overtime pay would be the following. The program coordinator makes $100,000 over a 12-month period. Our program coordinator has also accrued $10,000 of overtime in this program's term. Therefore, $110,000 will be input into this field. Next, enter the amount of actual wages claimed and paid out during the program's term based on admin and/or program pay. Our program coordinator was paid wages of $50,000 for their regular work time in this term and also accrued $10,000 in overtime. So the total here will be $60,000. The full-time equivalency will auto-calculate. Click Save Personnel, and your staff entry has been entered. Complete this for each staff member paid out in your program for the term. Total personnel salary expenditure amounts for all employees entered will roll up to the summary page. As a reminder, do not include your fringe benefits here with the employee's wages. Fringe benefits are to be entered directly into the summary page. Next is property equipment. Once in the equipment page, click on Add New. The information required for reportable equipment is shown in this dialog box. I will provide an example. The item will be a Dell laptop. Date acquired, February 1st, 2024. Item location. The quantity, price per unit cost, and the amount Once completed, click Save Changes. You will see that your item has been added to the list of pending items. You will complete this for each equipment item purchased in your program for the term. Total equipment expenditure amounts will roll up to the summary page. Next is travel. Once in the travel page, click on Add New. The information required for travel is shown in this dialog box. Here's an example entry. Program conference in Sacramento for management staff. $5,000 for the amount. Click on Save Changes. You will complete this for each travel item completed in this term. Again, total travel expenditure amounts will roll up to the summary page. Other costs is our next cost category. This category is meant to be a general area for expenses that do not fit any of the cost categories presented in your form. Once in Other Costs, click on Add New. The information required for other costs is shown in this dialog box, and I will provide an example entry. Once completed, click on Save Changes. Again, complete this for each other cost item expensed in the term, and all total other cost expenditure amounts will roll up to the summary page. Lastly, the menu provides a place to enter your subcontractor expenses on the Subrecipient Contractor tab. Once in the Subrecipient Contractor page, click on Add New. The information required for your subcontractor is shown in this dialog box. Here's an example entry. And then click on Save Changes. Please note, any equipment cost for your subrecipient contractor should be included in your total. You will complete this for each subcontractor you expensed in this term. Total subcontractor expenditure amounts will roll up to the summary page. Please note, for some programs, subrecipient contractor property equipment may be included as a separate menu item on the closeout form. Even though costs associated with the subrecipient contractor's equipment were already included within the subrecipient contractor's category, the equipment will still need to be itemized in this funding category option for accountability purposes. The subcontractor equipment items will be entered much in the same way as direct purchased equipment was for the program. However, even though this equipment funding category is displayed on the summary page, the amounts will not be included in the overall total of the program's expenditures due to the fact that the equipment for the subcontractor has already been included in the subcontractor's category total. Now that we have completed our closeout data entry, the final step in completing the closeout submission is to submit the file. From the summary page, click on the Submit button in the upper right corner of the form. Input any comments that you want to make to your finance analyst, if any. Click on the down arrow symbol. There will be a box that says, "Who should sign?" When the box is clicked, a drop-down list will appear with names of individuals from your organization that have access to the closeout file. Since the agency director will be required to sign the form after CDA has approved it, choose the director's name from the drop-down list. If the director does not have a LoFRS profile and therefore does not appear on this list, please have the director email their request for a LoFRS profile to the following email: finance@aging.ca.gov. Once you have chosen the director from the drop-down list, click Save and Submit. The closeout will now be available for your finance analyst's review. As a reminder, after the closeout has been approved by the LFB finance analyst and the local finance bureau manager, it will then be ready for the agency director's final signature. Once the agency director has reviewed the form and approved it, they will sign and complete the form by clicking on the Submit button in the upper right corner of the summary page. This brings them to the following dialog box. They will click on Mark as Completed and Save and Submit. This action effectively constitutes as the director's approval signature, and the closeout form will then be processed by CDA for any final payments if applicable. This concludes the LoFRS closeout demonstration. Should you have any additional questions, please contact the local finance bureau at finance@aging.ca.gov. And thank you for your time.